You know, there's been a lot of things in the press and in the media just surrounding, you know, what goes on with players that get abused and discrimination and inclusion and stuff. So we just want to talk nice and free, no pressure, no judgment on it at all. Between us, can you believe it? There's 5 decades of Brentford football between us. You know, Karleigh played in the noughties and the 2010s. I played in the 80s, 90s and noughties. And then we got Tariqe, the latest edition of this boy band tonight, playing in the 2020s. Karleigh, I would come to you first. How and what does diversity and inclusion look like to you, or what should it look like?
For me, diversity and inclusion within football looks like a reflection of how society should be. Everyone feeling welcome no matter where they are, what situation they're in, you know, wherever they go, not having to feel different or uncomfortable being around certain people or being around different cultures. You should be able to sit down with any person from any culture, any background, and have conversations and get to know them and them get to know you without there being any kind of prejudice or difference of understanding where people are from and what they bring to society. I think every person, you know, has the capability of bringing something positive. Every culture has the capability of bringing something positive to society and does do that. And I think it's about us recognizing, you know, that's what the world is and that's how the world should be.
Tariqe, how do you see the same sort of question?
I think is recognizing that everyone's different, but at the same time we're all equal. It helps everyone, you know, like if similar to what Karleigh said about different backgrounds and stuff like that coming together and being able to have a conversation and a better understanding of each other, where, you know, where everyone's from and stuff like that. I think like the world would be boring without it, you know. Like the team now, there's loads of players from different countries, different backgrounds and stuff like that. And I was saying it earlier, like some of the French boys have learned some French words and stuff like that. We banter, have some banter and stuff, you know.
Imagine,
yeah, and food, even the food, the chefs like Algerian, and before I would never have thought of going to like an Algerian restaurant, but now that he's cooked up some stuff, you know, like, and I've tried it and stuff, it's like banging food, you know what I mean? So
yeah, you touched on the diversity of the team, the squad. You've got many nationalities. You've even mentioned the chefs, which I don't think we've ever heard of the chefs at Brentford before, but that's refreshing to know that there's many different nationalities. Do you guys have any sort of conversations about, you know, the industry or society as a whole in terms of how these problems that we see on a regular basis, especially like social media, racial abuse towards black players in particular?
Yeah, recently, obviously, it's been a hot topic, to be honest. We've spoke about things that we're going to try and do and stuff like that as a club, you know. Like even the gaffer, when we was taking a knee, he was always on it. He'd always come to us before all the black boys and stuff, you know, and come to us and say, look, we'll take the knee today. You know what I mean? And that was quite positive to see.
Yeah.
That like they're supporting the movement. And yeah, like I think it's just, yeah, like we've been speaking about it. Obviously now we've stopped doing the knee. We're thinking of another sort of approach to things and what we can do to take things further.
Karleigh, how do you feel about, you know, the next step? Where do you think the next step is?
I think it's hard for players. The spotlight's on players. You know, when we talk about the knee and things like that, obviously we spoke about this before in a different conversation, didn't we? And we had our opinion on it. And, you know, I think the actual kind of meaning of taking a knee has been lost to a degree. And I think that's because of how it's been portrayed in the media and things like that. And players are in a real difficult kind of situation because the answer to what we want to try and get to isn't just a simple, well, this is what we do and that's how it's going to get fixed. You know, it's a matter of people coming together from all backgrounds, all cultures, all creeds, coming together and having open and honest discussions in how we make, you know, football a better place, how we make the world a better place in the understanding of everybody. And I think that's where the conversations need to start heading towards. You know, we need to have some open and honest conversations, but the problem that is created with this is an emotional subject. So, you know, when we speak about this, to hold your emotions within it, because people will have different views, is extremely hard to do. But until we get to a place where we can kind of, you know, sit down and hold these conversations with people at the very top of the game, decision makers at the very top of the game, and most of all the players, because the players go through this. The players are the ones that, you know, receive the abuse. They're the ones that have to deal with these things daily, whether they're at football, at a game and the crowds are there, or whether they're, you know, online. The players can't escape it sometimes. And until we get to a place where we actually, you know, those that be at the top of the game really kind of take the time to listen to what's being said and have open and honest conversations, I feel that's where we need to go in order to get the next steps right. Because like I said, the answer for it isn't as simple, this is what we need to do and that is it. There's multiple things that need to happen. And it's not just a football problem, it's a society problem, but football magnifies it. And football is a way of us getting that message back out to society as well. That's
definitely true with, obviously, like having the conversation. I think when it comes to the topic, people are scared to, do you know what I mean, say their opinions and things like that, just in case they get it wrong or something like that, do you know what I mean? But everyone has to be open about it, do you know what I mean? And they have to say, do you know what I mean? And obviously if they get something wrong and stuff like that, people can guide them, do you know what I mean? And give them some knowledge on, or to have a better understanding of things. Because like sometimes, even for myself, I feel like I know how it is sometimes being a black man, you know, and I feel like some people don't, I don't know, when we're going through things, they're kind of, it's sensitive, do you know what I mean? Like they don't want to say the wrong things and stuff like that, so the approach is just a bit wrong, do you know what I mean? If you're just open about it, you can have a conversation and I can learn things from them. You can, do you know what I mean? Other people and stuff like that. But it's just being honest, having an honest conversation, I think.
Having conversations, sometimes they're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that you can get, you know, the right ingredients out of, and you can direct people or steer people into a different direction of a perception or an attitude. The work I do with Kick It Out, we talk to the academy players at all age groups, and they're not frightened to talk. And we will always encourage them, talk your talk. We're not here to judge you. We're not here to tell you that you're out of order, but we're here to can we make the environment better for everyone to communicate what they need to communicate in a healthy way, so we can have these sort of debates and get that sort of empathy and understanding of what players go through. If there was any sort of social media abuse towards you, how has that made an impact on you, if it has happened?
It happened, I think it was after a Bournemouth game. I scored and someone said something on my pictures. But do you know what? I didn't even bother, you know. Like I saw it, I was offended, obviously, but I didn't bother like doing anything about it. I don't know why at that moment I just left it, but you know what I mean? It's just like I just thought in my head, someone silly just trying to wind me up or something like that. Do you know what I mean? But it's crazy, man.
I think the first time I experienced racial abuse was, I must have been about 18, 19. From what I can remember, I was playing a game against the club, and I think I must have done something in the game, maybe fouled a player. I don't know what I did, but I did something to rile the crowd up. And kind of about maybe 10, 15 minutes into the game, every time I touched the ball, I realised that there was monkey chants going on. And, you know, at first I didn't really see, because, you know, you're wrapped up in the game, you don't really hear the crowd. But then I started to hear the crowd, and I took a throw on, and I faced some racist abuse there. And I remember looking at the person like dead in the eye, and I didn't know what to do. I just turned around, took the throw in, and carried on the game. But in that moment, did it affect me? Yeah, it did. It did affect me. But it was, I think, you know, sometimes the mindset in football is, you know, you just take it on the chin and move on. And I think that's where the game is changing now. And you would have experienced it probably 10 times more than me and understand it just as much. But I think now where the game's moving on, people aren't afraid to talk out. People aren't afraid to highlight it now. And I think there was a bit of that where, you know, you almost was a little bit afraid. I was afraid at that time to highlight it, because I didn't want to get seen as, you know, I'm making a fuss out of something. And I don't think any player should ever be made to feel that. And I'm not saying that's like, you know, people did that at the time on purpose in terms of trying to make me feel, but that's just the way football was at the time. And I've experienced racist abuse many different times, but like Tariqe, I've experienced stuff on social media before and just kind of just thrown it to the side. But actually, when I think about it now, if I'm still playing, I think, you know, where I am now in terms of mentally where I am, I would stand up against it and I would highlight it. And I would probably, you know, I would make a stand and make a real point of that. But I think how you do that when you're still playing, how you do it, because all that comes with that after you do that is a lot of, you know, criticism, people telling you shouldn't be affected and things like that. But that's not the case. If you was to walk down the street and someone racially abused you, it's very likely you would react in a certain way. But I think it's how we react and how we are able to control the emotions that come with that in order to make the right judgment in how we deal with it. We talk about education and, you know, we always say, you know, people need to be educated. There's a few things that go with that. In order to educate someone, there has to be conversations. The person has to want to be educated, but also the person who is either received the abuse or trying to give the education has to be open enough and calm enough and with have enough emotional control that they can look at the other person's viewpoint in order to get a better understanding of why they may think that way or why they may do them things. And I think sometimes that's the key component that's missing throughout the whole kind of subject and what happens in these incidences.
I remember the first time I got racially abused playing football. I was 12. I'm 50, but I still remember it as if it was yesterday. That's the sort of impact it has. I've learned to like deal with that, but it doesn't make it any better to know that there's a big adult that abused me at 12. I was playing Sunday league football. I was just going past their right back. I was left winger, just going past him. It was a tough game anyway between the two. And the words came out. So there's me at 12 from West London. I don't play none of that sort of rubbish. I was just about to screw my face up. You know, I've got quite a screwy face anyway, isn't it, Tariqe? You can see that. But I wanted to screw my face and verbally abuse that person back. But the thing that stopped me was that person was in a wheelchair. So it took me out of the game for about 5 minutes or so. I was like thrown by it. I was like, whoa, hold up. Whoa, you're abusing me. Like, and you're in a wheelchair, which, you know, that's unfortunate. You know what I mean? But I didn't respond to it. What I had to do was redirect my anger and my sort of emotions into, I'm going to destroy his right back because I know that's going to hurt him. That's the only way I can get back at him, was to be sort of undefeated mentally and physically in that moment. But I know people say, that probably made you, Marcus, that made you. And I'm like, are you trying to endorse abusing young people, whether they're playing sport or not, is the secret ingredient for their success? Because not everybody gets abused to be successful. But it seems to be that's the common theme that runs behind young black players that play football. That seems to be the one ingredient that everybody thinks, oh, that's what made you. Yes, it hardens us, but it kind of makes you think you got to fight for survival. It's like your humanity is being attacked. That's how I felt. My existence was under threat. So what do? Am I going to lie down and just get rolled over? No, I'm going to just stand up to this and prove through my performance I'm a valid human being to play this match. So that was a bit of what I've picked up from, you know, just this conversation, is that this sticks with us for the rest of our lives. And we even had a player a couple of weeks ago that said, he's only young, said, this will stick with me for the rest of my life, being abused. And I don't think people really appreciate the impact.
As footballers, we don't really like open up as much, do you know what I mean? Obviously, sometimes recently we've been speaking a lot more about it, but usually it's just like, oh, it's normal, you know what I mean? Like, we just take it on the chin, it's just normal, but you need to speak up and do something about it, do you know what I mean?
Things have to change, but, you know, how can we make those changes? How can we highlight the issues? think the danger with the public at times, they don't want to hear or see political gestures or open gestures. Well, the world is run by politics. No matter what you do, there has to be politics that governs things, or there's going to be people involved. I would like to say that not taking a knee, it's totally fine. There's support with that for players. Not everybody's going to agree with it. That's totally fine. Everyone's got their own opinions, but I think from a player's point of view is that, has the message behind taking a knee been lost in terms of, remember the logo that was created by Troy Deeney, Black Lives Matter, and everyone, they just focus on that first part of the message. And I think what's been lost in all of this is a little hashtag underneath. And the hashtag says players together. This was a player's decision to show a strength of unity and solidarity. And I think out of everything, that part of the message has been lost due to the fact it's got 3 initials that people will run away without researching too deep and coming to their own conclusions, and then it's dismissed. So every time you put that up, it's going to be dismissed by the masses. So what happens next has to be well thought of. It's going to take a lot of guidance and instruction, and coming up with some good ideas of how can we see change in and around the game of football, the authorities. But we also got to look, from within as well. We've got a very diverse playing staff. We're in a very diverse area as well. We're doing stuff in that community will help the message of the players as well. So I congratulate you guys on that. And I said, if you guys need any more help from myself or Karleigh, please tap into us, and we'll be, glad to assist you guys in anything you want to do moving forward. I'd like to ask, firstly, I'll ask you, Tariqe, have you got any sort of plans to stay within the game in any form of capacity?
I haven't really deeply thought of it, but I definitely kind of want to get into coaching. It's not now, but a bit later on, do you know what I mean? And get into coaching, but I haven't really deeply thought of it, to be honest with you.
I was similar to you. You never really think about the end. You don't want to think about the end of your career, do you? You're focused on what's happening at that moment in time. I think the biggest thing for players is being able to see people in positions that you might like to be in yourself when you finish. So coaching, management, board, other positions within football. I think that helps. And I think sometimes, when you don't see that visual representation, you almost start to limit your own kind of thoughts on what you can be after football. Yeah. And I think that's where one of the biggest changes need to happen as well. We need to see more. I know for me, I only worked under one black manager and coach throughout my whole career, and I knew I wanted to go into coaching. But if I'd seen more sort of black people within the board or at higher levels, it just gives you a better view of where you can go after football and what is available to you after football.
There seems to be an issue with, obviously, like the lack of black managers and the old common argument, you're not good enough. Well, hold up, you're playing championship football. You're playing international football, Tariqe. How does that sort of make you feel?
Definitely what Karleigh was saying, like in terms of seeing people, are there black managers? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like sometimes I say to myself, yeah, I want to do coaching, but then sometimes I'm like, I might not even want to be in football. I might do something else. Do you know what I mean? But that's only because I don't see like any successful managers, black managers or anything like that. So it's like there's no one to look up to. Do you know what I mean?
I think the game needs to make the change of the presumption that for some reason the game feels that black managers don't have, or black coaches or black board members, whatever it might be, don't have the capabilities to do those kind of roles. You think of the game now and how many black players are playing at the top level, representing their countries, playing in the Premier League. For me, there's no way that you can be that good as a footballer, that clever as a footballer in terms of the information you've been taking on and what you've done over a long period of time, and then all of a sudden get to the end of your career and you're not good enough to maybe manage a team or or be amongst board members and deliver, you know, sensible things that are going to help clubs grow and move forward. That's a big change. You know, it's not a case of black people just saying, oh, we just want a role because we're black. That's not what people are saying. We want the role because we're good enough, but we want a fair crack at kind of getting that option and getting that chance. And I don't think that's given at the moment. I think we need to keep putting the message out there and keep showing that, you know, we can do these things as black people, as black players, ex-players. We can go on and do these roles and do them successfully. And I think those are the changes that need to happen. And that's where people need to, one, be more open-minded, but two, just kind of be more understanding of, we're good enough as players. I'm sure we'd be good enough as managers, coaches, board members, CEOs, whatever it may be. We'll do those jobs just as well.
I think we're unique at the club as well. We've got a very good club with positive messages about that sort of community, that be together spirit. We're working harder each day to be one of the most inclusive clubs in the land. You know, look at our roles, Karleigh. You're Brentford Women's boss. I'm the club's first ever club ambassador. So we're quite unique at the club, and you know, we've got to have that sort of inspiration to inspire others as well, that are going to follow hopefully our sort of path, and to be visible to the point of, well, I can see, look, this club is moving in the right direction. So as I said, the club itself, Brentford, are doing some stuff behind the scenes and working very hard to be not just, you know, words on a paper or a campaign, but putting things in place. As I said, I'm a black player, ex-black player, that started his career at this club at League One and went all the way to the Premier League and the World Cup as well. And I've come back because I love the club. I love what it stands for. I believe in the quality and the people around it. I'm privileged to have this role. Like yourself, Karleigh, privileged to have that role because it shows that you have a sense of value and a worth to the club. Hopefully we can inspire more players like Tariqe.
Karleigh, I didn't even know you was the gaffer.
Yeah. I do the women's team. Yeah, so
I'm proud, man. Marcus as well. I didn't even know you was in the ambassador.
Well, there you go.
You guys have inspired me, man. Inspired me still.
It takes patience and perseverance to have any sort of success in life. Nothing's ever going to just come quick and last forever. But it takes persistence, you know what I mean? And we've all gone through that. Everybody goes through that. But we have to keep on striving. We have to keep setting the right examples of who we are as people. We represent the club in a huge way. And we carry that flag and that burden. But it's a healthy burden that we carry. And that's how it is.